You are listening to the Wandering Chronicles podcast. I'm Ashley.
I'm Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi. We're in the process of caffeinating.
I might have to take a pause in the middle of the episode to make another cup. This is not going to be enough.
That's totally fine. I have Red Bull and coffee in the fridge. Cold brewing if need be. We're doing this in the morning.
I woke up 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, sorry.
This will be an interesting episode for you to edit because I'm not awake yet. Also, I might have morning voice, so I might sound like a smoker. I don't know.
You sound basically normal. Like a little tired, maybe, but it's okay.
Basically normal. That's what I've strived for my entire life.
Yeah, that is the byline on my resume.
Yeah, basically normal.
So how have you been?
I did jack shit this weekend other than editing an episode, so.
Oh, yeah. It has taken over our lives in a way that maybe we didn't expect it to.
Yeah.
My cats are full of shit today.
Literally.
There was a turd on the floor when we started. It was a whole thing.
There's a turd on the floor. There's a turd on the floor. There's a turd on the floor.
Certified freak.
That is life with a cat. Oh god, Izzy's in a box.
Oh great.
I gotta get a
Nigel's on top of the fridge, so we're all here. The gang's all here. Yeah, I didn't really do. I took a long weekend. I needed a mental health day. Shit's been shitty. So, just my mental health has not been good.
It's been a rough few weeks, man.
Yeah.
With all this shit going on, and then Izzy's health issues.
Yeah.
She's,
you finally got an answer to that, though.
Yep, my cat has hyperthyroidism.
I didn't even know that was a thing, and I feel really bad for steering you poorly with my suggestions on what could be wrong.
No, you know what? Though, you were really helpful. You kept me calm, which is what I needed.
I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to cats.
You know more than I do, man. I don't know shit.
I know how to collect them. I don't know how to treat them. Medically. I don't know how to treat them medically. I know how to treat them as individuals with souls.
Well, Izzy's been on eye drops for almost a week. We can stop, I think, on Tuesday, because Tuesday's the day we started. Mm. So I may give her one extra dose on Tuesday and then just stop on Wednesday just to be safe.
Did you tell me this, or did I read this? Tell me, because I can't remember if I read this, that she might be having issues with her eyes because she lost so much weight.
I told you that. Yeah. She went from being a 13-pound cat to an 8-pound cat in a matter of months. She lost...
And that is a rapid weight loss, especially for a cat.
So the doctor told me that the portion, because she's lost so much fat, there's, sagging under the eyes because of that.
It does make sense.
Dirt or dust might have gotten trapped under there, and that's causing the watering. So she's like, yeah, she's got a little glaucoma from weight loss. And then after I was told that, I was like, well, let's do blood work. Let's just do it. So the good news is Izzy's an excellent patient. She was very calm and made the whole process a lot faster. They were gone for 5 minutes at most. She was such a good little patient. But she hates me now because I've been giving her eye drops and she hates the eye drops. But she's also on medication for the rest of her life now, which...
And she's okay.
The way she's acting might not be very long because I'm going to pummel her. I'm kidding. I would never do that. But I love her.
You're doing it to help them, but they don't always understand.
How's Izzy?
That's hysterical.
There's the patient in question. Do you have anything to say?
Izzy, I'd like to hear about your experience with your medical treatment.
Izzy, got anything to say?
How do you feel?
She's the Lizard King. Izzy isn't a fan of me, but thank God it was Izzy and not Johnny, because Johnny couldn't care less about food. He doesn't care. He, eats enough to sustain his life, and that's about it. Izzy would eat all the food in the apartment if she had the choice.
I literally had to buy a locking garbage can yesterday, because my cat will get into the garbage... Gordy will get into the garbage can and eat... That's how food... I get it. My point is I get it, because he's so food-oriented that I can't keep anything on the counter. If I go out and buy groceries and I have to make 2 trips, I have to prioritize how which trip things are coming in. Because if I bring a loaf of bread
he'll attack it
and leave it on the floor while I run it, by the time I come in, he's ripped a hole in it and he's eating the bread. One time I found him wrapped around a bag of bagels like a fucking squid.
Gordy's a character, man. Gordy is a character.
He is. He will eat anything. So yeah, I literally was like sick of having to wipe his butt because he keeps getting diarrhea from getting into the trash and eating whatever garbage I eat, because let's be real, I eat garbage. So,
we're basically raccoons.
Yeah, we're both raccoons, except for I have thumbs and I know how to open the garbage can trash.
Yeah, my cats have not figured that one out. Thank God. Please don't have Gordy tell them. Please do not give any tips.
Well, I didn't have a lid on it, so he didn't have to figure it out. Because my old apartment, I had to get rid of the lid on the garbage can because it didn't fit underneath my counter. And I wanted to be able to put it under the counter so I could close the door. But when I moved here, I didn't get a new garbage can. I still had the old one. I didn't have the lid anymore. This one's also supposed to lock out smells. So I'm hoping the combination of it being harder to get into and also he can't smell what's in there will make it less enticing. We'll see. So we are in New Canaan, Connecticut. How'd you get here?
Oh, yeah. Connecticut. I somersaulted my way there.
Oh, boy.
I'm just going to try and come up with weird ways. And I'm entering into my gymnastics phase. So I'm going to somersault my way there. I'm going to start off easy and somersault.
That sounds painful.
I'm going to roll there like Sonic the Hedgehog.
With your tail just...
Yeah. I'm going to be a little blur of red and white.
That's hysterical. I love that you chose red and white.
Well, my hair is reddish and my skin is very white, so...
I got that. That's why it was funny.
Yeah.
That's hysterical. How
are you getting there? Yeah.
I rented a limo.
Fancy bitch over here.
Well, it kind of matches with the story's theme.
We're talking about wealthy bitches.
Oh, yes, we are.
It is Connecticut. I should have known.
Yes.
I should have known.
Yes. And
Y'all got money.
I haven't told you about this. I'm not sure if you'll know, like, there might be a point when you recognize the story because it isn't exactly... It made national news. So this is a well-known story, but because it's a mystery story, I chose a missing persons story.
Ooh.
And it's sort of a long one, mostly because very rarely am I impressed by police work.
Usually it's subpar.
Exactly. Usually I'm like, what the fuck were they thinking? But this was actually pretty intelligent police work. And because it was really good police work in the way that they found evidence. I mean, it's technically an unsolved, ongoing investigation, but I think you'll find at the end that you have...
Unsolved, yeah.
I think all of us will have a very specific opinion, and I think we'll all agree, but who knows?
Hey.
Maybe we're wrong.
If you have a different opinion from us after listening to this episode, go to our social media at Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and let us know.
Yeah, all the links are at the end of the podcast in the credits.
Or TikTok. You can email us.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, talk to us.
Yeah, it'd be also nice just to get feedback from people because we can see that people are listening through our algorithm. We've got a pretty... we crossed over 100 downloads last week. Out of 5 episodes, which, I think that's pretty awesome because we're just starting out.
Yeah, we're newbies. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, so you could also comment on YouTube because this video will be on YouTube once we're done recording it, obviously. So anyway, I'm going to talk to you about the disappearance of Farber Dulos today.
Okay.
Is that a familiar name?
Sounds vaguely familiar, but I do have your photos up just in case they become this story clicks in my head.
I have given...
The name sounds familiar, but I haven't quite placed it yet, so...
I have given Ashley photos of the people involved and instructed her not to look until she either knows for sure she recognizes the story or she knows for sure she doesn't. Because I kind of just want to see if it jogs a memory with her. I do want to take...
Jamie did mention that it was covered on True Crime Garage, which is another podcast I do listen to, but they have 500 episodes, so who knows if I've actually listened to it or not. There are some that I skipped, so...
I'm pretty sure, too, that if I am remembering correctly on when they recorded theirs or when they posted it, that it was before some of the information that I have in this episode came out. Not a lot, not a lot has changed, unfortunately, in the last year or so. But there has been some new information, so this should hopefully be a slight update to that, even if you have heard it.
Lay it on us.
Okay.
I'm excited to hear it.
Before I get into it, I do want to just give a trigger warning. Of course, this is a true crime episode, so there are going to be some topics that we talk about. One that we will talk about kind of in length is physical assault.
Oh,
there is also mention of a suicide in this story, and I will mention sexual assault. I will not talk about it. Okay. It's just a in passing comment. New Canaan is a large town on the western border of Connecticut, which is also known as the Gold Coast, due to the number of wealthy business executives who reside there. I know.
My parents also used to live in a neighborhood called the Gold Coast.
I was going to say, well, I didn't know your parents lived
in Chicago.
But the Chicago, that's the best Illuminatis at all.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
That one is good.
I miss deep dish pizza so much.
Come to Chicago, we have it. Yes.
This part of the country is often portrayed in popular culture as a bastion of wealth and is consistently listed as one of the wealthiest towns in the country.
Nice use of the word bastion.
I'm a reader.
You're a clever girl.
Fun fact, this is also where Stepford Wives was set. In New Canaan, Connecticut.
That makes perfect sense.
Yep. And in 2019, New Canaan became known for something else, as being the scene of a violent attack that left Farber Dulos missing and unaccounted for to this day.
Oh, no.
But before we talk about that, let's go back to the beginning. Jennifer Farber Dulos was born September 27, 1968 in New York City to Hillard Farber, who was a banker, and her mother, Gloria Ortenberg, who is a philanthropist. That's how you know they got money.
Ortenberg.
Yeah.
Ortenberg, that's a name.
Here's a side note, but Jennifer's aunt is Liz Claiborne.
Holy crap, talk about connected.
Yes. Yeah, I thought that was wild.
That is wild.
Jennifer graduated from Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island in 1990, and later with a master's degree from NYU. Jennifer was a contributing writer for Patch.com, which is kind of like your run-of-the-mill news website, and she also ran a personal blog of her own. It was at Brown University where Jennifer met her future husband, Fotis Dulos.
Fotis Dulos.
Yes, Fotis, Dulos.
All right. No notes. Totally normal name.
Fotis was born on August 6, 1967 in Turkey, and grew up in Athens, Greece, before he moved to the United States in 1986. So it's a foreign name.
Yeah.
Which explains
it. Like I said, no notes.
Yeah. He graduated in 1989 and attended Columbia University, where he earned a master's degree in finance.
So he's a smarty pants.
They're both smarty pantses.
Yeah, they are. They both have smarty pants on.
Smarty pantaloons?
Smarty bloomers? Well, in her case, maybe smarty bloomers.
Smarty bloomers.
Yeah.
After Fotis graduated, he and Jennifer lost touch with one another for a time, during which he married another woman in 2000. Her name is out there, but I'm purposely not going to mention it because it's not really related to the story, and there's no reason to.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I feel like she's been spoken of a lot, but she's literally not related to the story beyond this.
She was married to him, yeah.
Yeah. So, I just don't see the point. I'm going to do that a lot in here where I'm just not going to name certain people whose name is readily available because I don't really feel like it's necessary.
Last week I did the same thing with Cookie and Crumble. So
yeah, exactly.
I could have shared their names. I have both their names.
There's
I just
no reason.
chose not to.
Yeah, there's no reason. I found children's names out in the news, and it's like, why would you out a child? This kid doesn't even...
That's not fair.
They haven't started their life yet.
Yeah, they don't deserve that.
Mm-mm. Now they're Googleable forever. That sucks.
And connected to the story, which is like probably something they definitely wouldn't want to be involved in.
Yeah. Or if they already are involved in it, beyond their control, they don't want it to follow them their whole life.
Exactly.
In 2004, Fotis began a real estate development company which specialized in luxury homes. He also participated in water skiing competitions, which is apparently a thing. And he had just won a championship in the sport when he and Jennifer had a chance encounter running into each other at an airport in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
Fotis was still married when this happened. And even though that's the case, Jennifer and he struck up a relationship. And in July, they got married in Manhattan, only 1 month after Fotis' divorce was finalized.
Was Donald Trump invited?
Don't know.
He was in the real estate business?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Here's what's funny about that, is when I was looking for photos to include in the email that I sent you.
Yeah.
Ghislaine Maxwell was people always also search for. Like, you know how when you look for someone's name?
Yeah, when you Google something and it's like, also search for
exactly. I'm like, so there must be some connection there, but I didn't...
there has to be some overlap, even secondhand overlap.
Yeah, I didn't look into it because it wasn't related to the story, and I would like to stay away from Ghislaine Maxwell as much as possible in my personal life in any way. But,
yeah, she's bad news.
Oh, to say the very least. But I did think that was pretty interesting, especially now that you mentioned Donald Trump, because we know they were
Maxwell's there, then Epstein's not too far behind.
Well, yeah, and
if Epstein's not too far behind, then
Trump and him were besties,
and everybody else is not too far behind that.
The two purchased a home in Farmington, Connecticut, where they began working on building their family, which had been a lifelong goal of Jennifer's. Together, the couple had 5 kids, all named after Greek Orthodox saints.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
They had 2 sets of twins. Which sounds like my own personal hell. And they also had 1 single child.
Imagine being the one single child and being like, I don't have a twin.
I know, that would be, now that you're mentioning it,
weird.
When you have 2 sets of twins siblings, that probably feels a little weird. I have a friend who has 2 sets of twins. But she also has, I think, 6 or 7 children total. So there's a few singles.
So there's some singles in there too.
Like, how does that? Because I've never heard of that happening before, my friend.
I mean,
but I guess
it's crazy. I think you have to have like a genetic marker or something, or like family history of having twins to have like that many sets of twins.
Yeah, y'all motherfuckers be fertile.
Hey, at least you get it out of the way. You can have 5 kids and 3 pregnancies.
That's true. They're all pretty
easy.
They're all pretty close in age. I mean,
yeah.
So, yeah, I guess that's true. Although I wouldn't want to have that many kids in diapers at once.
I wouldn't want to have that many kids in general.
No, but especially in diapers.
No.
Can you imagine having 5 kids in diapers? 1 kid in diapers is hell.
Is a lot of kids in diapers. Yeah.
No fucking way. Yeah, I won't complete that thought, but that sounds terrible to me.
I think I mentioned it before with you, not maybe on the podcast, but I have a friend who's the oldest of 7 kids, and all the kids are 2 years apart, except for one who's 3 years apart. So, like, her mom was basically getting pregnant months after having a child, and then having another child.
Yep.
Like, I think she spent, like, 12 years or 13 years total, like, just pregnant all the time.
Yep. That's my grandma. My dad comes from 8 kids. And there's a decent range. For example, Ron is my oldest uncle, and he had his first son, Keith, before my grandmother had her last son, Rob. So, my Uncle Rob...
So Ron was the first kid, and she finished it out with Rob?
Yes. Yeah, it's Ron, and then only one of them is a girl. They're all boys except for one girl.
Oh, that poor girl.
So it's Ron, Kathy, Gary, Terry,
going some rhyming there.
Dave, Dwayne, who was my dad.
Yeah.
Brian and Rob.
Yeah. The family I was talking about, their first 2 kids are girls, and the rest are all boys.
Yeah, it's weird how that works. Family lived in a home designed by Fotis' company, which had 6 bedrooms, a library, a wine cellar, and a full gym.
Damn.
I know.
I mean, at that point, you just need to send the help out to get groceries, and you never need to leave.
That would have been ideal when the pandemic started.
Yes! Still get all of your shit done and, like, never have to go outside because you have people helping you.
Fotis' work was there, too. It was in one part of the house that had its own private entrance, so the employees could come and go and not have to go through the whole house. So, pretty elaborate Connecticut mansion.
Yeah.
Jennifer was a stay-at-home mom, but continued writing in her blog as time allowed. And her blog kind of turned into kind of a family blog sort of situation as time went on.
She's one of those people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess if you're a stay-at-home mom, or if you're a mom who has not a lot of access to other adults, it might be nice to have someone...
They always say, write what you know.
Yeah, so. But even as a consumer, I could see where having a blog like that to go to where someone else is kind of going through the same experience as you...
would be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, she had a nanny too, so that's not everyone's experience, but can't relate.
Yeah, I can.
You can? Did you have a nanny?
Well, growing up I had a nanny.
Really? I didn't know that.
Both my parents worked.
I knew both your parents worked, but I thought your mom worked part-time.
No, my mom was a store manager of a major department store. She worked full-time.
Okay.
And was barely home during winters, so.
I did not know that. Okay. There's nothing wrong with having a nanny. It's just not an experience that a lot of people can relate to.
Exactly.
So. And it sounds to me like this nanny was incredible, just based on what I read about this family. The couple began butting heads regarding their parenting styles, Jennifer feeling that Fotis was pushing the kids too hard, and Fotis wanting the kids to participate in sports like he had. They also reportedly fought a lot about a loan of $2.5 million that Fotis had received from Jennifer's dad for his business. So that can cause a rift in a family pretty quickly.
Money can cause all sorts of problems.
Yes. So this fighting led to more and more fighting until eventually Fotis would spend a lot of time traveling for his water skiing competitions, and he just wasn't home a lot.
Is water skiing really considered a sport?
Yeah.
All right.
It was at one of these competitions in Miami where Fotis met a woman by the name of Michelle Draconis.
Okay. Enter Michelle.
Enter Michelle. Michelle was a single mom from Venezuela. She and Fotis had an instant attraction upon meeting, having a lot in common, including competitive water skiing.
Sounds like Fotis needs to stop having connections with other women when he's married.
Fotis?
Adorable!
Are you done? Michelle worked as an ESPN reporter in South America and lived a very active lifestyle just like Fotis. Michelle reports that Fotis led her to believe that he and Jennifer were already separated when they met, even though no such thing had happened. Michelle fell hard and fast, and Fotis quickly began spending all of his time with her instead of with his wife and children.
Always a cheater, once a cheater, always a cheater.
Keep that phrase in your back pocket.
I'm the one singing in this episode.
You are, so far.
Uh-oh.
No, I don't have any singing planned. Jennifer was pretty sure that he was having an affair. I mean, between how they had started their own relationship, as well as the fact that he was never home and he was spending no time with his kids or her. It was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
The old saying, once a cheater, always a cheater, really holds true most of the time. I told you. Nailed it! But friends of Jennifer say that she really didn't mind him being gone so much because the house was a lot more harmonious when he was gone. And she could just live her life with the kids and there was no fighting, which was very nice.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Enter father and husband and chaos ensues.
Yep, exactly. Eventually, though, she did confront him about the affair, and when this happened in 2017, he immediately confessed to everything that had been going on.
Interesting. What's his play on that one?
On June 17, 2017, Jennifer went on a trip to New York City with the kids and their nanny. That evening, they never came home, which caused Fotis to worry, and after many attempts to reach Jennifer or the nanny, he decided to call 911. But Jennifer wasn't missing. She had taken the kids and moved out, renting a home in New Canaan. Without skipping a beat, Fotis called Michelle and invited her to move in with him in the family home with her daughter. Which is a fucking bold move, if you ask me.
Damn. April also seems to agree that it's a bold move.
Michelle and her daughter moved into the family home shortly afterwards. Jennifer's family and friends reported how afraid Jennifer had been to leave Fotis because she thought he might retaliate against her or try to kidnap their children and keep them from her. She also had told family that Fotis had a scary temper. Does this sound familiar
I'm
to you
always
yet?
paying attention. It does, and it doesn't. Like, I'm trying to piece it together, because none of the names are clicking, and you would think that, like, Fotis would click for me.
You might when we get into the evidence. We'll see.
Yeah. The crime might actually trigger something.
Thus begins a long and arduous custody battle that cost Jennifer and Fotis thousands and thousands of dollars each. Jennifer's main point of contention with this custody battle was that she didn't want her children to have to go to their dad's house when his new girlfriend was there.
Okay.
Which I get. Yeah. It's their house. Yeah. They live there with their mom. It would be very weird. So soon after a separation. Yeah, so soon after a separation. I mean, it was literally within a couple of weeks she was living there.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
That's weird.
So.
Did the kids want to see their father or no?
You know, no one really said that. Anything about that. I don't think any of them were old enough to have a legal opinion, because I think you have to be like 12 or 13, and I think they were all under that age at the time.
So they were all really young.
They were not all really young, but I think it depends on what state you're in, but most states it's like 12 or 13 or 14, somewhere in that ballpark, that you have to have that age to have a say in where you go. And I think they were all under.
You would think that even if they were under that age, the kids would have expressed a desire to see their father, to their mother at least.
If they did, it wasn't reported.
Or to family.
Yeah, if they did, it wasn't reported as part of the telling of this story anywhere. So, I'm not really sure.
I was just curious. Yeah. I thought I would ask.
I don't blame you for being curious.
Yeah.
The court sided in Jennifer's favor, and in July 2018, she was awarded sole custody of the children, and Fotis was allowed only supervised visits and phone calls with them. Fotis fought this, but on May 17, 2019, the original custody order was upheld, and Fotis was denied custody of his children. I don't know for sure what happened, but something must have happened for that to be the court's official opinion, because they don't take that lightly.
You know, both parents are financially stable. They're, in theory, mentally stable.
Well, and that's what I wonder, if there wasn't something more to that story, because it couldn't have just been the girlfriend that was the problem.
Yeah.
But
he must have shown violent tendencies or something.
He clearly wasn't presenting himself very well to the court, at the very least, for them to hold that opinion.
That is a big deal, especially when both parents are financially stable and have a stable household.
Yeah.
They would at least give the father partial visitation or, like, partial custody.
I know that they usually at least will start there, unless there's clear signs of abuse and documentable signs of some sort of abuse.
Jennifer probably had a very, very good lawyer.
Fotis probably did, too.
I mean, it's just that she presented herself better than he did, I guess.
I know that court cases do often favor female and mom sides.
Over dad, yeah.
True, but that doesn't explain why there was no contact other than supervised visit. That's an extreme measure for a court to take, unless there's some kind of
2019,
proof.
Where things have kind of turned a little bit, so they consider the father's rights a little bit more than they used to.
And it's New York.
It's not like this was, exactly. It's a pretty progressive state.
Yeah, so there must be more to that story, but it's not really included, at least from what I could see, as part of this story. And is it relevant? I guess to some degree it is, but at the same time, I feel like that kind of carves a little bit dangerously into the kids' anonymity.
Yeah, and that's
not something I feel super
definitely
comfortable
did not want to
doing.
Yeah,
so
I agree with you on that.
On May 24th, 2019, Jennifer had planned to drop the children off at school before leaving for New York City to attend 2 doctor's appointments. The plan was that Jennifer would drop the kids off, and the nanny would pick them up from school because she didn't think that she would be home from her appointment in time.
Okay.
When the nanny arrived at the house, she found Jennifer's purse on the floor, as well as food and dishes still out from breakfast.
Oh.
The nanny knew something wasn't right, because what woman leaves their purse at home when they have to run errands, especially to, like, a doctor's appointment?
Oh, I do. If I don't have to take my purse, I don't take my purse.
But you take your wallet or something. You have your information somewhere.
I take my wallet Yeah, but I don't keep my wallet in my purse to begin with, so.
Okay, well, then
I'm a weird person.
No, I'm not saying you're a weird person. I'm saying that you have an alternative purse that you call a backpack or something.
It's called my coat pocket.
Okay. I wouldn't want to carry
In the winter, I don't carry a purse if I don't have to. In the summer, I will carry a purse because I don't have pockets in half my clothes.
You're also not a mom to 5. Every mom I know has Mary Poppins' purse of Wonderland that they can just pull any number of shit. Like, oh, you want...
Pull a full ladder out of their bag.
You need a first aid kit? Here. You need notes from your math test from last year? Here
you go. Yeah. They pull out a full-size ladder and just, like, prop it against the wall. Here you go.
You need to change a light bulb? Here's a ladder.
Yeah. I keep one in my purse.
Yeah.
Yeah, mothers are magical.
Mothers have everything in their purses.
Yeah.
And the nanny also knew that Jennifer wouldn't have left the house a mess. She was a neat freak. That was a big part of who she was. So just leaving cup of tea is what it was. A cup of tea and an opened but uneaten granola bar.
Yeah, she would never have left that.
Exactly.
Neat freaks are not going to allow that to stay.
Exactly. So clearly something was up, but the nanny didn't think too much about it. Just noticed it and then began cleaning up.
Oh, disrupting the crime scene.
Yes. There's a lot of that, actually.
It's not the nanny's fault. I mean, it could have happened to anybody, but still, like, if you notice something looks weird, don't touch anything.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think she noticed. She didn't think it was weird enough to be concerned about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just weird.
Mean, you're right, though. For, like, a mother to leave their purse on the ground. Like, I'm a single person. I can get out. I can get away with just taking my wallet, my keys, and my phone, and, like, that's it. And I love being able to do that. But if I had kids or I had to carry stuff around with me, or when I work on our podcast outside of my apartment, I always bring my computer and I have to carry like a giant ass bag for that. So I understand, like, you know.
I always have my purse with me, especially like going to a doctor's appointment because I have my vaccination card. I have all of my insurance cards. It just takes up a lot of room.
I'm never that prepared when I go to the doctor. I'm like, I have my insurance card and here's my vaccine card. And I have a photo of my vaccine card on my phone so I don't have to carry it around with me.
Yeah. The other thing that the nanny noticed was when she pulled out a roll of paper towels to start cleaning up the kitchen, she knew the day before that there had been a brand new package, a bulk package of paper towels, and there were only 2 left. Who goes through an almost entire package of bulk paper towels overnight?
In less than 24 hours?
Yeah. I mean, I know kids go through that shit fast, but that's obscene amount of paper towels.
Yeah. Unless you literally had to mop up a spill that was the entire first floor of their house.
And you wouldn't use a paper towel for that. You'd grab bath towels unless it was staining, like blood. In the words of Bailey Sarian... Suspish.
Very suspish.
Yeah. So after the nanny picked up the kids and returned home, she got very concerned when Jennifer did not come home at the time that she was expected to. She called Jennifer, but the calls went straight to voicemail. And after several hours of waiting for her to return home and trying unsuccessfully to call her, the nanny decided to take the kids to Jennifer's mom's house in the city. At 7 p.m.
Where in the world is Jennifer?
It's a good question.
Johnny wants to know as well.
Yeah, where is Jennifer? I'd like to know as well. At 7 p.m., the nanny and Jennifer's mom decided to call 911 and report Jennifer as a missing person. So immediately, the police took this disappearance seriously, which is amazing.
Great. That's always good.
Yeah, I mean, she had...
Not like, wait 48 hours or anything.
Exactly. She had the benefit of being a wealthy white woman. And...
That usually helps. When money's involved and you're white,
you
tend to get more attention.
And they're in a wealthy town with known wealthy residents. I'm sure that also was a contributing factor. And I'll say the police work on this, and I mentioned it in the beginning, it's impressive to me. I think as someone who watches true crime and just see how often they get it wrong, it's nice to see them get it right. It's unfortunately not led to a resolution, but it's not for lack of trying.
It does feel like for every 10 or 20 they get wrong, they get one right.
Yeah.
It's just, it depends on the police force, it depends on the people, it depends on the crime.
Mm-hmm. It depends on
Every
the
once in a while,
individual
they're
police
like-
that get dispatched.
Yeah. Is it somebody prone to taking things more seriously? Is it
Mm-hmm.
an officer who's seen too much and just doesn't care?
Is it an officer
You
who's
know.
a known racist and it's a
Exactly.
black woman who's missing? Like Lauren Smith Fields, have you heard of that story?
I have not.
That was also in Connecticut. It was in December of this, like just this last December, so it's pretty recent.
Oh, that's probably why. I don't necessarily always pay attention to the more recent crimes.
Yeah, so she went on a Tinder date. I'm not sure if it was Tinder, but something like that. With beautiful, beautiful young black woman. I think she was in her early 20s. Gorgeous. Fucking stunning. And she went on a date with a white guy. And they...
First mistake.
I'm not gonna agree with you, but I'm not gonna disagree. So they got drunk, and she went back to his place, and the next morning, I think it was, or maybe sometime in the middle of the night, he woke up and she was tragically dead. And the cops didn't investigate him.
Okay.
The cops didn't investigate him because he seemed like a nice guy.
They all seem like a nice guy.
Here's what's worse. The cops also did not inform her family.
What the fuck?
They found out that Lauren was found dead because someone from the police department had put a note on her door. So when the family went looking for her and went to her house, they found a note on her door.
Said Lauren is dead?
I think it said call the police department. I don't know if it actually said Lauren is dead, but they didn't even make any attempt. And I forget the other woman's name, but there was on the same fucking day, in the same fucking town, another black woman was found miraculously dead after going out with a different white guy. And they did the same fucking thing.
How is this not something they look into? It's like that shit going on in Chicago for like 20 plus years where like random women of color have been found strangled and left behind dumpsters.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops are like, there's no connection to these crimes, but there's a fucking connection.
I think the only reason anyone has heard about Lauren is because of Gabby Petito's story. And then that showed the disparity in how people treated white missing girls versus women of color or people of color. And that started bringing a few, but it's still not wide. I mean, she's not making the news. It's just a person here or a person there being like, I'm going to highlight more people of color and choosing to do that. So Morbid talked about her very briefly on one of their episodes. It wasn't a full episode about that, but it was like a heads up, this is happening sort of thing. And then I looked more into it. I had heard about it on TikTok just because of the people that I follow on TikTok. Yeah. But that was...
So unless you have the right algorithms, you're never going to hear about it.
Exactly. And that's the thing that sucks is that it's never been reported on by these huge outlets that are like, oh, a white girl's missing. Which, again, like, I don't think that the white girl doesn't deserve that coverage. I think everyone deserves the same coverage that the white girl is getting.
Yeah, she gets this certain piece of pie. Other people should get the same slice.
Exactly. And the same is true for Jennifer Dulos, where she got this huge police response that is amazing. Unfortunately, because of circumstances, it didn't quite lead to a resolution in this case yet, although I think it will eventually because it's ongoing.
I hope so.
But
I mean, it's still
it will never lead to a resolution if you don't do it at all. And a lot of times they're not doing it at all.
And then when they decide to do it later, they've already lost all the evidence that could help them solve it.
Exactly.
So the people not taking it seriously within the first 24 hours are fucking it over for people who want to take it seriously 10 years down the road or even a year down the road.
Exactly. And actually, that's a really good point to think of when we go through this story of all the things that would not have been found if more time had elapsed, because this police department actually did act in a timely manner. And they did find more things that they would have not found had they not done that. So I think that's a really good point to kind of keep in mind.
I'm glad that they were proactive enough to make these choices.
Yeah, I just think it's a good example.
Wish that police would do that on more crimes.
Yeah, these guys are leading by example, and I hope more police departments decide to take the lead and learn from what they're doing. Because, like I said, there's a lot of evidence in this that would never have been found if even a day longer had gone by.
In the grand scheme of true crime, if people just took things seriously from the beginning, regardless of the outcome, if they took a missing persons case seriously from the start, and it just turns out that person was out with their boyfriend or whatever, or girlfriend, and they just weren't answering their phone, at least they would have taken it seriously and they would have found something.
Right.
If they don't take it seriously to begin with, you're not going to find anything.
That's literally what we paid them for.
Yeah. So take crime seriously. Don't just judge a book by the cover, because what you see is not necessarily what you're going to get.
Exactly. And instead of spending your money on paramilitary gear that no police department should ever have access to, spend it on actually doing the job that you're hired for and that we use our taxes to pay for.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why do we even have a National Guard? Isn't the whole fucking point of the National Guard to do all the things that the paramilitary shit that you spend your budgets on?
Don't have to do? Yeah. You're not supposed to be doing that. Solve crimes.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane and solve crimes.
Yeah. Believe women while you're at it. Let's just pile it all on there.
Because I've been having this conversation at work with some people I work with because of the Jussie Smollett case.
Oh.
And that finally got a resolution.
Yeah.
And my main issue with the story is not the hate crime itself, because obviously hate crime should be taken seriously, and I'm glad the police took it seriously in this case.
A lot of times
they
that's
should be
not
taking
the case.
it seriously in every case. Yeah, not just like people who are celebrities. They should take it seriously in every case. But it comes down to the false reporting aspect, where him doing a false report is going to now reflect on everybody who makes a report.
It fucks it over for everyone.
Is this real? And that's the same with sexual assault victims. Are you going to be believed because so many people have made false claims against other people? Stop making false claims. If you weren't sexually assaulted, don't say you were.
Yep.
It's really that simple.
Yep. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Don't ruin it for people who actually go through these traumatic events.
Yeah. They deserve... I mean, I really question often what justice means, because it feels like, how do you get justice for something... Like someone taking a loved one from you? Like, you're never going to... Nothing will ever change that.
You're never going to get...
But at the same time, at least take those people off the street from hurting other people. At the very least, get those people out of circulation.
Exactly.
Just like you and I were talking about that motherfucker who was messaging you on the dating app.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That guy was a creep.
Obviously, seriously a predator. Clearly.
He sent me a screenshot of another girl accusing him of ghosting her after he slept with her. And he's like, bitches are crazy. And I'm like, what part of this makes you think you look good in this? I mean, I wasn't responding to him to begin with because he was creeping me out with his, sup girl? Sup girl?
Right.
Oh, that's lit. I'm like, who the fuck are you?
A 20-year-old.
I'm like, grow the fuck up, okay? First of all, you talk like an idiot. And then he sends me the screenshot, and I'm like, he's like, there was very little chance of us meeting up. I'm like, yeah, there was before you sent this, and I blocked him and I unmatched him.
But the thing is, those people are in the world doing things like that, doing probably worse things, because if he felt emboldened enough to share that with someone that let's face it, he was gonna try to boink you, even if he says he wasn't, there's no reason for him to do that at all, unless his end goal was to get in your pants. So... him doubling back and changing his story that he was never interested. Fuck that. Obviously you were.
He was absolutely interested.
But yeah, because there's no reason to keep messaging someone on a dating app if you're not interested in them. Yeah. At some level, you know? He
was a special level of creep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have that screenshot. Maybe I'll post it on...
this is going to be a long episode anyway, so we should get back into the story, but I think that's a relevant tangent.
Yeah.
Because it all is true that how you handle an investigation right off the bat is really important, and you'll see how it has helped them in this one.
Yeah.
So immediately, the police took this disappearance seriously and began looking for Jennifer. In fact, it's the investigation in this case that I found so fascinating, like I said. Okay. Police began by searching Jennifer's house, and in the garage, they found blood on the floor and on the trash can. But from the look of the blood, someone had tried to clean it up. Maybe with paper towels.
Slightly smeared and maybe like a little diluted.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
At this point, the house was considered a crime scene, of course, and police began looking for her car, which was found really fast, only an hour after she was reported missing in a nearby park.
Okay.
Of course, the park was thoroughly searched, but nothing else was found other than her vehicle. That same night, police officers also informed Fotis, who at the time agreed to cooperate with the investigation. But the next day, when he showed up at the police department to do his interview, he came with an attorney. And
all right, just a heads up, I'm looking at the photos now.
Okay.
I don't think I know the story. It doesn't sound that familiar.
Oh, good.
Yet,
Good. Yay!
Oh, is that Jennifer, the first photo?
Yes.
Oh, she's beautiful.
I know. You believe that woman is 50?
Like, friendly moms. She's 50?
She's a fucking stunner.
Yeah. She looks like, I would have guessed like
40.
Early 40s?
Yeah. Nope, she was 50. It sucks, but Fotis is also pretty good looking.
Fotis is a fox.
Yeah.
Well, I can see why he's getting all these ladies.
That's why he's pulling so much tail, but he's a piece of shit.
Oh, Michelle looks like a bitch.
No.
All right. I'm not going to scroll any farther because there's another person there.
Yeah, we haven't gotten into that.
I'm not going to scroll any farther. Yeah. So I'm going to just stare at Michelle's face for a little bit.
Okay. Well, don't get too angry.
No, I'm not going to. Sorry, I'm going to stare at Jennifer's face.
Oh, good.
It makes me feel good. Yeah. Sorry, I said Michelle. I meant Jennifer.
So yeah, when Fotis showed up at the police department the next day, he had a lawyer in tow, and the lawyer informed investigators that Fotis would not, in fact, be answering any questions. And a lot of sources center on how this is suspicious. I kind of don't agree with that, because I think if anyone...
he's the spouse. They're having a contentious divorce and child custody situation. I think it's actually smart of him to have come with a lawyer.
Yeah, I think anyone...
I don't necessarily think it was smart of him not to answer questions, but like anybody in that situation with that amount of money should have a lawyer.
Mm-hmm. I agree, but I also think most attorneys would tell them not to answer questions.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think, if that's what the attorney is suggesting, if you spend all that money and hire an attorney, you're going to follow their suggestions. So yeah, I don't necessarily feel like that's as suspicious as... There's other things that are way more suspicious. Now that I've found it, I can't stop. Meanwhile, Jennifer's mother filed for an emergency custody agreement to keep the kids away from Fotis, and this was granted. So the children are safe with Grandma.
With Grandma.
Yes. Warrants on Jennifer's cell phone and bank transactions showed that there had been no activity on either since the morning of her disappearance.
Oh, Jennifer.
Where are you?
Oh, it's such a bummer. Never have left her kids.
No, well,
she never have left her kids.
I definitely say that too. In this, she loved her kids. She loved her kids. They were her entire life. There's no way.
Yeah, I could just see it in her face. She'd never leave her kids.
Mm-mm. Yeah, she's mom of the year, and I'm not exaggerating. She really looks like mom of the year.
She does.
Yeah,
she's like on a pamphlet for mom awards.
Maybe she should have written that.
Yeah.
A large break in the case came when a neighbor of Jennifer's provided the police with security footage of their property, which contained a clear view of Jennifer's driveway.
Neighbor of the year!
I know. The footage revealed that Jennifer had come home from bringing the kids to school at 8:05 a.m., but that her vehicle left the house at 10:25 a.m. and did not return. So that leaves 2 hours and 20 minutes for whatever happened in Jennifer's garage to occur. So that's a pretty tight timeline.
And there's no image of anybody entering the house while she was gone?
It wasn't a clear image of the home. It was just a clear image of the driveway, like vehicles coming and going.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
A search warrant for Fotis' phone records showed that his phone didn't move from his home during that time at all.
He could have just left it at home.
Mm-hmm. Phone records did reveal that on the evening of Jennifer's disappearance, Fotis made multiple stops on the same stretch of road in Hartford, Connecticut at around 7 p.m.
Uh-oh, it's going down in Hartford.
Mm-hmm. This isn't super relevant to the disappearance, but I also read in one source that during the police's interview with the nanny, that she told them that Jennifer had, at one point, after the affair had come to light, Fotis had actually had the audacity to ask her if Michelle and her daughter could move in with the family.
Was it like a Sister Wives sort of thing?
That's what I wrote. What in the Sister Wives on TLC was he fucking thinking?
Okay, we talk too much.
I know.
We need to cut this friendship back a little bit.
We know each other far too well.
Yes.
Anyway.
I've never even seen an episode of Sister Wives, and I'm like, what in the Sister Wives is this?
I have. I've watched the first 3 seasons because I love a fucking train wreck. You know me. Yeah. I'm so into, like, fundamentalist religions. I'm just into their, like, fucking downfall. That's why I know so much about Josh Duggar. I just like to watch them fail. It gives me serotonin. It's very twisted, but it's true.
Oh, I like it. I'll let it go.
Good.
I like it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Anyway, police reached out to the businesses that were along the stretch of road in Hartford that Fotis had been seen on in their phone pinging and requested security footage to see what Fotis was doing that day.
Yeah.
Through this action, they gathered 12 hours of footage from different locations along the route that they then began to piece together to see what had occurred. It was discovered that a vehicle matching one that was registered to Fotis's company had made 30 stops along that stretch of road. And at each stop he made, he was dropping off trash bags.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, no.
In one shot, they saw a woman leaning out of the passenger side of the truck who matched the description of Michelle.
I mean, to be fair, he does have a type. He likes brunettes with long hair.
It's true.
Michelle and Jennifer have very similar aesthetics, except that Michelle looks angry, although maybe if she was smiling in the photo, she'd look a little bit better.
I was trying to find...
Not saying that women need to smile, but, like, you know, the difference between looking like you're in court and you're angry versus, like, you know, a relaxed, happy photo.
Exactly.
Can make a difference.
I was trying to find a photo of her not in court, but none of them were very close enough to her face to be... I wanted you to see her face. Yeah. There was one with her having sunglasses on, but I don't think that that's a good photo to choose for that either.
No, you chose a good photo, but like...
But she doesn't seem
the aesthetic is there. Like, she's like, you know, thinner woman with long, dark hair. That's Fotis' thing, apparently.
Yeah, but with like a massive RBF.
He's like the Ted Bundy of our time, just preferring women with long, dark hair.
But think about that. This is exactly what I was talking about with evidence that would have been missing if they hadn't acted immediately. So, immediately, police dispatched to the area to recover whatever trash bags they were able to, but unfortunately, most of them had already been collected by trash collectors that day. However, they were able to recover 2 of them.
Okay.
In the 2 that they were able to recover, they found zip ties, a broken mop handle, paper towels, a sponge, the metal label off of a French-made bicycle, and women's clothing that was covered in blood.
Oh. Were the women's clothing that was covered in blood, were there any puncture wounds through the clothing?
They didn't specify.
Okay.
Just that it was women's clothing covered in blood, and it will come up again later.
It might be that he beat her to death and not cut her up or something, because that broken mop handle.
That's a good point. I didn't thought about that. They also found 2 Connecticut license plates. The plates had been doctored to have different numbers by using electrical tape to cover parts of the number. So when they moved the alterations that were on the license plate, it was registered to Fotis.
Okay, he's not very smart.
No.
He does know that tape can be removed.
He thinks he's very smart.
Clearly he isn't, though, because, again, tape is not permanent.
I know. He didn't think he'd be found.
Huh.
That was just to cover, I think, surveillance. I think he was looking to cover surveillance footage of the vehicle so that it had a different number, so that it wouldn't be traced to him. But then he discarded the license plates, and they were found.
Yeah.
So.
They happened to be in the 2 bags that were actually found. So that was not lucky for him.
No, not at all. So obviously there was a lot of evidence that they didn't get in the 28 other bags.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it was a single bag. All the many other bags that were thrown out, I guess I should say that instead. And that led investigators to begin searching the Hartford landfill. They spent 3 weeks searching through approximately 30 tons of trash per day, but they never were able to find anything there.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah. Michelle was interviewed, and she said that Fotis had been with her during the period that Jennifer had to have gone missing. She's been proven to be such a trustworthy source, right?
Yeah. Michelle's making all sorts of great choices here.
Mm-hmm. According to her, Fotis had left the home to go hang out with his attorney and friend, Kent Mawhinney.
Okay. I was going to say, if you hadn't added friend, I was going to say, that is totally normal. I always go and hang out with my attorney.
Yeah.
Like, hey, attorney, let's go hang out. I don't have an attorney, so I have nobody to hang out with.
Well, that explains some things. I don't have one either, so that's probably my problem also.
We need to get attorneys to hang out with.
I know. Maybe I'd be more popular if I had an attorney.
Yeah.
That sounds like sex work, but with friendships.
Does the attorney charge per hour to hang out with them?
I'm assuming. Does an attorney charge per hour for everything? Probably.
Yeah. They'll even charge you to buy lunch.
You know they'd be raking it in.
Oh, yeah. Especially the ones that charge per hour.
They all do, don't they?
No.
Oh.
The firm I work for doesn't charge per hour.
Oh. Interesting.
We charge based on whether or not we get reductions for people. So if we don't get you a reduction, we don't charge you money.
Yeah, we charge per hour. Well, the ones we work with charge per hour.
Yeah.
So
it just depends on the type of law they practice, but yeah.
Interesting. I guess that makes sense. According to her, he had left to hang out with his friend Kent. Then he came home and asked her to help clean up a house for a client of his real estate development firm.
Okay.
Suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
She then claims that after cleaning the home, Fotis kept stopping and throwing out trash bags, but she was messing around on her phone, and she wasn't really paying attention or asking any questions about why he was doing that.
Classic Michelle.
Mm-hmm. But she did confirm that it was her and Fotis in the surveillance videos, and on June 1st, 2019, they were both arrested. Their official charges were tampering with or fabricating official evidence, as well as hindering an investigation. But both posted bond because rich and were out on bail a few days later.
Yep.
Investigators spoke with Fotis' employees at his real estate firm and found the individual who usually drove the black truck that had been used by Fotis to discard all the trash bags.
Is that the guy in the next photo after Michelle?
No.
Okay.
I
haven't looked at him yet.
That's the attorney.
Oh, okay. Oh, he looks like a smug bastard.
Yeah, he's not a very good person.
No. If your attorney has a mugshot, it's probably not a good attorney.
I think
or maybe too good of an attorney.
I think the mugshot came after this happened.
Yeah.
But he might have a mugshot for other reasons, and we'll get to that.
I mean, it's a very Better Call Saul sort of...
Oh my god. He is a very Better Call Saul kind of person.
Yeah. Okay, so he's that kind of attorney. He's the kind of attorney that, like, will clean up messes for you.
That's what he seemed like.
Or knows people that will clean up messes for you.
That's the impression that I got.
It's the impression that
I was thinking that too.
Sorry. God damn it.
This employee stated that his personal vehicle was an old, beat-up red pickup truck, and that he usually drove his own truck to work and then swapped it out for the black truck that he would use while he was working. So usually the red truck would just sit at Fotis' house where he also worked throughout the day.
Yeah.
And just sit there. But not on the day of Jennifer's disappearance. On that day, the red truck had left work and police were able to track its whereabouts using surveillance footage to the park where Jennifer's vehicle was found very early that morning.
Okay.
Hours later, the vehicle left the park and was seen on security footage in the driveway of one of the properties that was owned by Fotis' company. A warrant was issued and executed against all of the properties that Fotis' company owned, but unfortunately, this turned up no evidence. They also executed a warrant to search the red pickup truck, but upon investigation, they discovered that Fotis had the vehicle detailed 5 days after Jennifer's disappearance.
Ugh.
Reminder that this was
Of
not
course.
even Fotis's truck. This was
No,
his employee's
this is
truck.
His employee's truck.
And it's a beat-up red old pickup truck. Who the fuck gets an old pickup truck detailed?
Yeah.
That's fucking suspicious.
That is super suspicious.
Yep. So, of course, investigators found out who detailed the pickup truck, and they went to the auto body shop where that employee worked to ask them questions. And while speaking to that person, he asked them if they wanted to look at the old seats that had been in the pickup truck. That's right.
Oh, so they'd replace the seats.
Motherfucker, aka Fotis, had them replace the fucking seats in an old-ass pickup truck. And
I love that this auto body shop had kept the old seats.
yep, since the employee that had done the detailing thought it was such a weird request, he kept the old seats.
Oh, I love this employee. They're a hero.
Lo and behold, the seats had a stain that resembled blood, so a sample was taken and sent to forensics. I literally wrote Eureka in my notes.
Because I won't take this away from you. I know what it's going to say, but you go ahead and say it.
Eureka! Backing up a little bit, investigators also asked Fotis's employee who owned the red truck if Fotis also owned a bicycle, and he said yes. Not only did Fotis own a bicycle, but it was a fancy-ass French-made bicycle matching the description of those that had similar metal tags as the one that they had found in the trash bag that Fotis had disposed of on the night of Jennifer's disappearance.
Rich boy's not as smart as he thought he was.
Again, I say, quick investigation is why all of these details were picked up. Do you think that auto body shop would have kept those seats forever?
No, they would have been gone pretty quickly because they nasty and old.
And they take up space. What's the point? They kept them because it was weird.
Yeah.
But if a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year went by, they'd eventually be like, okay, whatever, get the fuck. We need to get this out of here.
Obviously nobody cares about these seats, so let's just get rid of them.
Yeah, they're not worth anything.
Yeah, you can't repurpose them and put them in another car, so throw
So
them out.
they would have, the bicycle tag would have been taken to the landfill. They would not have caught that piece of evidence.
Yeah.
This was 100% all linked
clothing.
because of how fast they acted. The only thing that they would not have missed is the evidence from the home.
Yeah.
I just think that's important to point out.
That is incredible. Good police work.
I know.
I like it.
That's why I liked this case so much, because I'm like, oh my god! It's like when you read like a James Patterson novel and you're like, this is so, it pulls you in because it's so interesting, but that's not how real true crime is because they rarely get it right.
No. Yeah.
So-
I mean, look what happened with any number of cases, but the one that keeps popping up in my head is John Benet Bennett.
Oh,
Or John Benet
Ramsey.
Ramsey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, like,
They just let everybody traipse all over
that was also a rich family who had money, and they just traipsed all over that crime scene and ruined it.
Yep. Using more surveillance footage, they were able to identify a bicycle riding in Jennifer's neighborhood towards her home at 7:45 a.m. on the day of her disappearance. They couldn't tell who was riding it, but I'll give you one guess. Would you like to guess?
Fotis?
Yes. That's
Fotis?
who I think it was. Yeah. That's almost definitely who it was.
You'd be able to tell the difference between a man and a woman on a bicycle, even if they put a hat on.
Yeah.
It's gotta be Fotis.
That's who I think.
It's his fancy-ass French bike.
Mm-hmm. Fucking
Which one's not good enough for him?
fucking rich people. He would have gotten away with it if he was driving a...
Yeah, just ride a generic bike. Don't ride your fancy-ass French one. Fucking weirdo.
So finally, investigators had enough evidence to issue a warrant on Fotis's home, and during the search they found written scripts for the date of Jennifer's disappearance that detailed alibis for Fotis, Michelle, and for Fotis's attorney friend, Kent. What the fuck?
Actual fuck? Who keeps that?
Fucking
keeps that
idiots is
around?
who? Dumb people.
Seriously, watch a few episodes of Forensic Files before you commit a crime, dumbass.
Fucking brazen pieces of shit think they can get away with everything. So when the forensic evidence from Jennifer's garage, the bloody clothes that were recovered in the trash bags, and the seats of the red truck was processed, it showed that all three matched Jennifer's DNA, finally identifying Jennifer as the victim involved. Interestingly enough, forensic experts also stated that with the amount of blood that they found on these items, they said it was reasonable to assume that she was deceased.
Yeah. at a certain point, if you keep finding all this blood, especially the blood-soaked clothes.
Yeah.
It takes a good amount of blood to soak through clothes like that.
Yeah, exactly. Which is really sad. I'm considering it a mystery because they still haven't found her body. And no one has served time or gone to prison and been charged with her murder.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that.
Unfortunately, if she's in the landfill, they might never find it.
But guess what?
What?
Among Jennifer's DNA, they also found Fotis's DNA. And remember, this was a house where Fotis had not lived. This was in the home that Jennifer had moved to after their separation. So there was no reason for his DNA to be found in that house.
It's like that Suzanne Olds case in the Ford Taurus that they had.
Exactly.
She'd never been in that car, and yet her blood was found inside it.
That's exactly what I thought about when I was writing this.
Yeah. If you find somebody's blood in a place where their blood never should have been, probably for a reason.
Yeah.
Because that person was either there or it was transferred after a crime.
Yep.
Yeah.
Something sketchy.
Something sketchy is connecting them to that space, therefore you need to look at that person.
Exactly. So investigators once again brought Michelle in for questioning to try to assess whether or not they felt that she was involved or what level of involvement she actually had in the situation. And during this interview, police dropped a bomb on her. The house that she had been asked to clean was Jennifer's house. All of a sudden, Michelle had a different story based on this information. Michelle's story changed, and she said that Fotis had actually been gone from the house by the time she had woken up that day, and she hadn't actually spent the morning with him. She said that he had left his phone at home and asked her to pick it up if it rang, which investigators believe was an attempt to make it seem like he was at home when he wasn't.
Yeah.
And Kent was there with her to make sure she answered that phone.
Oh,
so I honestly don't know how much Michelle actually knew. She clearly was involved in some level, in my opinion. But
it sounds like she wasn't involved in, like, the heavy stuff. It seems like she was there to help cover up a crime, not to be part of the crime.
That maybe she didn't even know about. It seems like she was deceived, at least in some level. I don't know how much, but there was some level of deception. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like she knew about anything until after the fact, maybe, but I don't think she was part of the planning.
Exactly.
If the lawyer had to be there to make sure she answered the phone.
Exactly,
yeah.
So several months go by with no new leads when a man comes forward to say that about a week before Jennifer's disappearance, he had stumbled upon an open grave in the woods on land that was owned by a private hunting club. And guess who had a membership to that club?
Ooh. Can I guess?
You have a 50-50 chance of being correct.
Fotis.
Kent.
Oh, Kent.
Yes.
Oh, I was wrong.
You were close. It was someone with a dick that was involved in this case.
Well, that is definitely not Michelle.
No. Not only had he found an open grave, but next to it was a couple of bags of lime. That's not fucking suspicious at all. How the fuck are these people still out of jail?
Oh, God. Did they find the grave?
There was nothing there.
Okay, so it was just like an empty hole that nobody put anything in.
Right. But this guy had found it, so I think the intention was...
That's where it was going to be.
Right.
And then they were like, shit, we can't do that anymore, so...
Exactly.
No,
or it could be completely unrelated, but it seems...
Yeah.
It seems hard
Weird
to believe.
That Kent has a membership to this hunting club and there's a grave dug for something.
Human-sized grave.
Okay. Yeah.
They had been covered by a blue tarp and a couple of, like, grates over the top of it so people wouldn't fall into it. Which I guess is kind. The fuck.
Yeah, I guess it's nice that they cared enough not to trap an innocent human in there.
Jesus fucking
As opposed
Christ.
to their innocent victim.
I know. So who is Kent? Well, he's a shithead of the highest order. That's who.
He's, he sounds like an utter piece of shit.
He is Fotis' attorney, yes. But his ex-wife also said that he was an abusive piece of shit who raped her and who she had been terrified by, and she thought he was going to kill her when she left. So, not a good guy. But Kent, of course, denied any involvement in Jennifer's disappearance.
Sounds like
He's a piece of shit.
Kent is an abusive piece of shit, yeah.
Yep. Not a good influence.
No, and he's hanging out with Richie Rich over there.
Well, they're both Richie Rich. Well, not same level of Richie Rich.
No.
We're
talking about, like...
Kent had a bottom to his well that we'll find.
Yeah. Fotis doesn't.
Fotis doesn't, no. In January 2020, Michelle, Kent, and Fotis were finally all arrested. Fotis for felony murder and kidnapping, Kent and Michelle for conspiracy to commit murder. All three pled not guilty. Fotis was held on $6 million bond, which he was able to meet, because rich.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
And he was released from jail. Michelle also was able to meet bail, but Kent was not, so he remained in jail. While he was out on bond, Fotis' attorney began pushing the narrative that Jennifer was not, in fact, dead, that she had instead gone-girled herself and staged her own suicide.
That's something normal that happens, yeah. Because, it happened in a novel. A fiction novel.
I know.
So, obviously, that's what she did.
Right.
Was there any proof that she had ever read that book?
I don't know, but that has come up in a few cases since it was written.
God damn it, Gillian Flynn.
I mean, it's a good book, but fuck.
It's a good book, but if people can be like, oh, they just gone-girled themselves. No, it's a novel. It's not a real-life story. People don't just, fake their death and disappear in most cases. Yes, could it happen? Absolutely.
Right.
It's a zebra in Central Park. You don't assume zebra when you hear hoof.
That's true.
You assume horse.
Yeah.
Not.
See, that's a very good analogy.
Yeah, when you hear hoof sounds in a public park, do you think horse or zebra?
Good point.
Usually it's horse.
They probably sound the same, though.
Yeah, they're both hooved animal.
Obviously, it's absolutely impossible. Jennifer would never have left her kids. That woman loved her kids. She would not just
for her kids.
Leave them. There was no reason to believe that would even be possible. Court was set to begin at the end of January, and on January 28th, Fotis failed to appear in court for an emergency bond hearing. Fotis had asked his girlfriend, yes, he had a new girlfriend.
Oh, Michelle's out and new girl's in.
Swear to God. Okay, if you meet a man and he's married, don't date him. That's a really good life rule. Don't do it. If you meet a
man who's accused of disappearing his wife, don't date him.
Who the fuck would go there? On what fucking planet?
To be fair, he's very attractive. I get it overlooking it.
I don't give a shit.
Do some research. Do some research on the guy you're dating.
I don't care if George fucking Clooney showed up at my door right now wearing nothing but a fucking trench coat and holding a platter of chocolates. If I opened that door and I found out that motherfucker was being accused of killing his wife, I would send that motherfucker packing.
I would too, but I'm saying not all women are going to be like that. Look at that pretty face. I would do anything for that pretty face. Watch out, because Michelle probably did the same thing.
I'm so glad that I'm single. True crime has really ruined me for dating. Because
True crime has really ruined me for trusting people.
Well, same thing, yes.
Yeah.
But dating is, the number one problem I have, because I'm all of these not all of them, a lot of these cases are with people who either were in a committed relationship with the person who hurt them, or they thought they were in a committed relationship with the person that hurt them and they were being led on.
Yeah.
Either way,
basically,
it comes from dating.
Yeah. Trust issues, man.
Nah, I'm not fucking doing it. I'm seeing too many movies that end poorly to fucking start there.
Too many true crime cases that end poorly.
I watch a lot of true crime movies.
I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts.
Me too.
I think there's only one podcast I listen to that isn't true crime. It's a dollop.
I listen to one that's not specifically true crime, but it's political crime, so it still counts.
It still counts.
Yeah, I mean, it's about, Monica Lewinsky and stuff. That's still
oh, yeah, I
crime
need to start
related.
that podcast.
Crime adjacent.
Yeah, there's still crime. It's just not, murder crime.
I do listen to one podcast about people that were manipulated by con artists, which is a crime, but it's not the same thing. It's and it's not always crimes. Sometimes it's just someone being taken advantage of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Like
I guess that's a
catfishing and
little bit
stuff.
different,
Okay.
but still there's like a heavy crime element.
Well, I can validly say the Dollop doesn't handle any crime stories like that. They don't generally do. People do some really messed up stuff in those podcasts, but they don't generally talk too much about the crime aspect of it.
Okay.
It's a weird podcast. I love it.
So Fotis had asked his new girlfriend to meet him at the courthouse, but he never showed up. Worried, she went to his house to find him, and he was there in his car, alive but unresponsive following a suicide attempt.
Glad that was not successful. He does not deserve to take that easy way out.
He was sitting in his vehicle surrounded by photos of his kids and a suicide letter. Fotis was taken to the hospital, but he never recovered.
Oh.
He died several days later after his family decided to remove him off of life support.
Alright, well, I take back what I said.
That's why I didn't. In the suicide note, Fotis maintained his innocence, saying that he, Michelle, and Kent had all been innocent in Jennifer's disappearance, and also stating that the story and evidence that had been found had all been, quote, fabricated by law enforcement, unquote.
What benefit would they have to fabricate this evidence?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Alright, Fotis. Now these kids are really orphaned because, like, their father's dead and their mother's missing.
They are
dead.
They are with their grandma, at least. So at least they're with family.
Yeah.
But
at least they have somebody who can take care of them.
It's really sad.
Obviously, the grandmother did a good job because Jennifer was a good person.
Yeah, it really sounds like she was a good person. So investigations are ongoing, and ground-penetrating radar has been brought to Fotis' home just recently in January of 2021, so just over a year ago.
Okay.
But to this day, Jennifer still has not been found. Kent has turned state's witness and is now implicating Michelle in the crime and saying that she acted alone. And that's where the case stands.
Why protect Fotis at this point? Like, why protect Fotis at this point?
Bro's got a bro? I don't know.
Dicks before chicks, I guess. Dude, that's a heavy episode.
Yeah.
I don't remember hearing this case, but I probably have listened to something about it. I just don't remember this case.
Yeah, and unfortunately there probably won't be a resolution. I mean, Michelle is still facing charges for her actions in tampering with and hiding evidence, but I don't think anyone probably ever will be charged with Jennifer's murder because there's still no body. And the prime suspect is dead. And I feel very confidently that he did it. I would be very interested in finding out why anyone disagrees with that. But it seems pretty clear to me that he did.
Yeah. I mean, it had to be him. It had to be him.
It really feels like I can't think of another alternative. It doesn't make any sense to me that a random person would have done this. I think if it were Michelle, there would be a lot more evidence suggesting that, basing on how well the police did with their investigation. And the police have no reason to implicate somebody who didn't implicate themselves with the evidence.
I mean, there's so much evidence that it was him.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how it's still a question, I guess.
Yeah, so they had rescheduled the court case for this month, and I wasn't able to find anything on it, so I don't think it's started just yet.
Okay.
But
maybe we'll be able to give an update in a future episode.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know how much of an update we'll get, but hopefully at least somebody serves some time for what was done. But I honestly kind of believe Michelle when she says that she didn't know a lot of what was going on. You know, your partner...
if she'd been in on it, he wouldn't have needed to leave Kent at the house to make sure she answered the phone.
Exactly. And also, if your partner comes home and asks you to clean a house, you don't necessarily ask whose house it is when he owns a real estate company. It's weird that he asked her to begin with, because I'm sure he has employees that do that. Yeah, I'm sure that there's like a agency that he usually works with. But if you're going to help him, you're not going to be like, well, why? Whose house is it? Yeah. Especially
not
when
really ask questions.
Especially when the guy's kind of been known to be domineering. That just kind of trains people to not ask a lot of questions to begin with. Not to say that he had the same relationship with her as he did with Jennifer, but a leopard isn't going to change his spots.
No, like you said,
So,
once a cheater, always a cheater. He cheated on his first wife to be with Jennifer, and he cheated on Jennifer to be with Michelle.
the biker gang just went by my house. I'm not sure if you could hear that.
I didn't hear it, but it doesn't mean it didn't pick up, so.
It's definitely picked up here.
Okay.
You know my biker gang I told you about that would happen as soon as
Yes.
it's nice out? It's 50 degrees.
So, it's gonna be a thing now.
It's biker gang season, yeah. Fun!
biker gang season, y'all!
Yeah, so that's the story of Jennifer Dulos, her poor kids, her poor her poor mom.
Well, at least the kids are safe in a good home with somebody who can take care of them, because it's not like Jennifer's mom is short on money either, since,
No, but she is a grandma, and grandmas aren't supposed to have to do that. And, having been raised by my own grandma, there are limitations in that. It's better than nothing. It's better than, in my alternative, being raised by, alcoholic people. I had a good grandma that could teach me how to be a grown-up when my parents failed. And a lot of people don't have that. But, there's still a lot of, grandmas just can't keep up the way that moms can. And when you have an awesome mom, you should be able to spend the rest of your life with that awesome mom.
Yeah. Jennifer has a really kind face.
Yeah.
I pretty much just kept the photo of Jennifer up since I don't want to look at anybody else.
I'm really glad you didn't know this story. I was excited. I mean, if you had known it, I figured there'd still be something that... Because I feel like I did a thorough job. So I figured I'd still find something that you hadn't heard. But I think it was interesting enough that I'm glad that you heard it from me first.
Yeah, it was a really interesting story, a really interesting case. I'm so beyond sad that there's no real resolution for Jennifer or for her kids or for her mom. But, at least their father can't hurt them anymore, and...
Yeah. I think it just goes to show you that money does a lot of things, and there's a lot of positive things that being a person who has money can bring you in your life, but it can't shield you from tragedy.
No, money can't stop bad things from happening to you.
Yeah.
It could just make it, maybe soften the blow sometimes, but...
Or give you more options on dealing with it.
Or at least give you, more options on how to escape, or...
Yeah.
More options when there's an actual crime perpetrated. The police are more likely to take you seriously.
Which shouldn't be the case, but it is, yeah.
It shouldn't be the case, but, we all pay taxes. We all pay our fair share to have the police take our crimes seriously, and you shouldn't have to have a padded bank account to get a serious reaction.
Right. There actually, now that you mentioned that, there was a theory that I read. I didn't really mention it because I didn't see a lot of evidence with it, but I thought it was interesting. There was a theory that part of his motive might have been because Grandma, Jennifer's mom, had a trust fund set up for the children that could be accessed by whoever the custodial parent was.
Oh.
So there was suspicion that the motive might have been to have access to, it was like $2 million.
Yeah, but he's already wealthy enough that he could handle a $6 million bond.
Well, it's the same way that Donald Trump is wealthy.
Okay.
You have money, but it's not liquid.
Yeah.
So you can still have financial problems. Because you just are moving money around. But it's all wrapped up in things. And I think him being able to meet probably a $3 million bail, because usually if you pay it, it's like half price. You can, I could never, I'll never see that kind of money in my lifetime, but you can move money around from different investments to, that doesn't mean he has money. You know what I mean? I think the same is true for Trump. Like, everybody thinks he's rich. Well, he has a lot of assets, but he doesn't have any liquid. He doesn't have a lot of... Yeah,
there's no actual funds that he can pull from half the time.
Yeah, he has money, but the reason he keeps taking out loans from other countries and shit is because he doesn't really have that much money, and he's kind of running his own inner Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was kind of a heavy story, but do you want to see where we're going to go next week?
Yeah. Why don't you spin the wheel?
Alrighty. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo. Alright. We're going to a place I've been a lot of times.
Okay.
We're going to Omaha, baby.
Ooh.
Omaha, Nebraska.
So we're back in the back in the Midwest.
Yeah, my Uncle Ron that I mentioned previously lives in Omaha.
We'll go visit Uncle Ron. All right, well, let's find out what we're talking about. And
Alrighty.
Ooh, I'm excited. It's a
Okay.
picker's choice.
Ooh, okay.
So,
You should do a
So it'll be a
story on
mystery to
how
everyone.
often my dad got lost trying to get into the mall in Omaha because their parking lot is hard to find.
I will definitely cover that story. That's exactly what I'll be talking about next week.
I have a
You nailed
very
it.
vivid memory. I grew up like 3.5, 4 hours from Omaha. So it's not like nearby, but it is close in Iowa terms. 3 hours isn't that far when you're from a rural area.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we would go down there to see my family. I have 2 uncles that live down there. And I remember when my cousin Keith, my oldest cousin Keith, who's older than my youngest uncle Rob, that cousin.
Oh, my God.
Here's another funny thing. That cousin Keith married a
Yeah.
woman named Kathy. So Kathy and Keith. My aunt Kathy.
Of course.
Guess what her husband's
Yeah.
name is?
Oh, Keith?
Yes.
So you have 2 aunts and uncles named Keith and Kathy.
Yes, I also have a cousin named Kathy.
That is obviously a very popular name in your family.
It's very Catholic. Catherine is very Catholic. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we went down to Kathy and Keith's wedding, we tried to go to the mall, and my dad drove around it like 15 times trying to get into the parking lot because it was so like hard to get into the lane to get into it, and by the time you realized that it was turning, you were already past it. And so
Oh my God.
yeah, that happened a lot. Actually, every
Yeah.
time I've ever been to Nebraska, that has happened in one way or another. I also had the same experience in Lincoln trying to get into University of Nebraska's campus.
So I will definitely be covering their difficult parking lots.
They've got some
Why are they
serious
so
traffic
difficult?
problems in Nebraska.
I will cover their parking lot situation.
I'm sure that they have a more interesting story than that.
I look forward to digging in and finding what I can find.
Yeah,
We'll see
Omaha
what
also
happens.
has a great zoo. The Omaha Zoo is like chef's kiss.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of zoos.
I'm not either, but that's a good one.
They make me sad.
They make me sad too, unless they're good ones.
Okay.
Like they.
Well, I probably won't be covering the Omaha Zoo either, but we'll see.
My
We'll see
mileage
what I
might
can
vary as a
find.
grown-up, but it felt like the animals had a ton of room when I was a kid. Like I said, my mileage
Okay.
might vary as a grown-up. I also thought the bathrooms were normal-sized at my elementary school, and they very clearly weren't when I went in there in high school, and I'm like, I can see over the stalls, because they're made
Yeah.
for children.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing you there.
yeah. I will meet you there. Happy wandering.
Yeah. Happy wandering. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Wandering Chronicles podcast with your hosts, Ashley and Jamie. You can follow us on social media at Wandering Chronicles Pod on TikTok, Wandering Chronicles Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, or WND Chronicle Pod on Twitter. Or you can email us at wanderingchroniclespodcast@gmail.com. New episodes drop every Thursday. If you haven't already, please tell everyone you know to listen to our podcast. Your gynecologist, the head of the PTA at your kid's school, every single telemarketer that calls you, your postal worker, your veterinarian. I bet they listen to podcasts. Hey, thanks. Bye. I love her, but she's stupid as fuck.